The Electric State appears on Netflix. Well, today, it's March 2025. Is this movie any good? It's getting trashed all over the place, but let me tell you what I think, which might be a little different than what everyone else says, coming up next. This movie, The Electric State by Netflix, is getting a lot of buzz for being the most expensive, one of the most expensive movies ever. It's not exactly that if you look at inflation calculations and all that, but it is one of those big, dumb science fiction spectacles that have riddled movie history, especially in the last 20 years, where movie studios have spent many, many millions of dollars, hundreds of $1,000,000 on a new property. Usually they do this for James Bond or Marvel, but here, a brand new movie with a brand new world in it, and this is a really hard thing to pull off, and Netflix is trying. Now, I went into the movie already knowing everyone is calling this a turkey. It's getting absolutely obliterated. Rotten Tomatoes, Letterboxd, you name the aggregate rating site, it's getting trashed. So, as a countercultural kind of guy, I wanted to watch it differently and see if I would actually like it. It turns out, well, I'll kind of agree, or mostly agree, with all of you thinking this is a turkey. I totally get why you're saying it, but I think this movie has a couple of things going for it. Let me explain what those are later. First, the plot. I almost feel like not even rehashing it. It's an alternative history of the 1990s in which there was a robot workforce. The robots became sentient. They had gained class consciousness, and then they had a war against humans. And it's not quite a Terminator thing because the Terminator robots look horrible and nasty, but these robots are like Mr. Peanut and, animatronic types of cute robots. The robots lose their warfare thanks to the development of a neurocaster. This is basically a metaverse-like helmet that humans put on and allow them to take the bodies of really Terminator-like robots, war machines, while they're sitting in the comfort of their own home with the metaverse or neurocaster helmet on. The movie basically takes place after this war, and it's a girl whose brother has died, she thinks. I think that's how it goes. But yet, well, there's a nasty secret with him, but the kid's consciousness is in the form of a cute robot, and robots by this point are outlawed or banned because, of course, they waged war against humans. She goes on a quest to find out how to get her brother out of the robot, basically, and this story then hits all the beats of major science fiction movies. You're going to see a world of robots who are outlawed, living apart from human society. You're going to experience a evil corporate dude played by Stanley Tucci, reminding you of the Hunger Games, in which he's basically an old Facebook kind of guy who's controlling everybody with the neurocaster with a, one of those dumb corporate science fiction names, a corporation called Center, spelled with an S. And then she's going to make this plucky Han Solo-like rebel figure who's, a vigilante working with robots, played by Chris Pratt. And so you get kind of a buddy or trio movie where they go through a science fictional landscape and go to find how to rescue the brother from the body of this robot. Along the way, the worldview-wise, you're really getting in this movie one of those Wall-E arguments that robots that they're a little humanoid, but they're very different, they're blocky, they don't look like humans, they're not androids, are actually not a bad thing to accept along the way, but the neurocaster technology, the metaverse-like helmet that people are wearing, is awful and evil and needs to be shut down. I'm a little sympathetic to that. I think we're going perhaps in that direction, or people might be tempted, although they did reject the Oculus device and whatever one that Apple had a couple years ago. So what's wrong with this movie? It's a very dark movie. Look into the heart of it. It's a nightmare world. It's a post-apocalyptic. There's been a terrible war. This corporation is using, I shouldn't give it away, but basically a slave population to fuel its neurocaster network. The people are stuck on neurocasters, they're basically vegetables in their own home. We've seen this in science fiction, Ready Player One. A number of movies have done this, but it is a coming threat, a looming threat. And of course, there's always this analogous commentary on smartphone use with this kind of depiction in a movie like this. But then this is a PG-13 movie. Chris Pratt tries to be a funny man. This is the Star-Lord Jurassic Park character he's played so many times. To me, it's nauseating and doesn't fit. Sorry, Pratt, but I love you in Parks and Recreation, but this is not even workable. And the robots are cutesy, so they're trying to play to kids and to family as a gigantic blockbuster would do. but what they've got is a dark, disturbing world, and this should be a different visionary would make this much harsher, much darker, which is, I think, what the material calls for. There's a million other things wrong with this. This will make you want to love robots more than humans. I mean, the human performances in this aren't great. The script isn't great, but that's usually the case. You know, you get to Waterworld and Cowboys and Aliens. There's a bunch of movie history is riddled with the corpses of big, dumb science fiction blockbusters. So, you know, why Netflix tried this? They must have, you know, used their algorithmic calculations and thought this was a good bet. But here's the way I watched it. I liked it a little bit of it. I'm getting rid of the story, some of the thematic elements, Chris Pratt's performance, etc. I thought the production design is a wondrous work of art in some cases, not the whole movie, parts of it, maybe about a third to a half of it. I was in awe of the way they depicted so many of these robots. I cannot tell in this movie where they use CGI. Throughout the last 25 years or more, I've been able to tell. I think CGI a lot of times is not very good. What they've done in this movie is they've broken down the barrier that I've wanted to be broken down. I love the use of puppets and sort of real sets and other kinds of textures from 80s kids movies, for example. The loss of that and moving over into CGI has been a problem because the textures have been lost. In this movie, I cannot tell what CGI, and the textures are so good, it looks like everything is very realistic. So the barrier they've broken down is between the use of real puppets, real sets, and CGI. However they did this, I'm delighted in like the feel of this movie in different parts, especially the robots and the robotic elements and the battle, some of the battle scenes, because I can touch it, I can almost a little bit taste it, because all those senses to me are kind of connected. So even just for that one reason, to watch it for its production design, and you could do this with the big dumb blockbusters. I think Waterworld or The Postman by Kevin Costner, two other ones that were decent on production design. The wonder of the epic movie or the giant movie, which has been around for 100+ years. That's what this one at least has. So you got to turn off your brain, but turn on your sense of wonder and enjoyment at some of the aesthetic elements. Of course, I'm a sucker for talking robots and robots in general. I think this is like the movie Chappie writ large. If you've ever seen Chappie, pretty decent movie. This one has a lot of robots kind of like that, funny and weird. And, you know, it's taking the Star Wars universe and running with it. So if you like that kind of stuff, it's actually not a bad movie to watch with kids, because it's going to downplay some of that nightmare material almost too much, in my opinion. What I'm saying is I don't recommend this movie. I don't think it's that good. I'm not sure I'm going to go to my family and say, go watch this. But if they did watch it, I don't think this is that terrible for them, watched in a couple of different ways. And if you were a kid and this is the first time or one of the first times you've dealt with all the science fiction material in this, there's a kitchen sink of science fiction material, it's not a bad introduction to some of it. So for that reason, I give it like 2 to 2.5 stars. It's average. And I'm higher on this than other people, but that doesn't mean I really like it, okay? Now, what do you think of this movie? Is it a giant turkey? Is there something that rescues it? If there's something wrong with it, I think this is important. Why is there something wrong with it? A lot of people are ragging on this movie, but they're not saying why. They're just giving their taste. And some of that's okay, but in the world of criticism, you've got to tell why you like things or why you don't like things. And that's very helpful usually for other people who may not have your point of view. They can at least see it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to this channel for more great content and honest reviews. Have a great day.